Ilara had always cherished the quiet of her nights. While the world around her buzzed with responsibilities, deadlines, and chaos, her dreams were her escape, a secret realm where she could lose herself in a reality of her own making. For months, one figure had begun to appear repeatedly in her dreams, a man she had never met, yet whose presence felt achingly familiar, like a memory from a life she could not fully recall. His dark, intense eyes seemed to look directly into her soul, and the warmth of his smile left an indelible mark on her heart long after she awoke. Every night she anticipated seeing him, feeling a mixture of longing, curiosity, and a strange sense of destiny. It was impossible, irrational, yet the feelings that grew within her could not be denied. The dreams themselves were vivid, cinematic in their detail. She found herself wandering through landscapes that shifted from sunlit gardens to mist-covered cliffs, always with him appearing at just the right moment, offering guidance, comfort, or a playful tease that made her pulse quicken. In these nocturnal encounters, he spoke with a voice that resonated in her chest, soft yet commanding, gentle yet powerful. Though their interactions were fleeting, they left her with sensations of longing, warmth, and an unshakable sense of connection. Day after day, the boundary between dream and reality blurred. She started to notice glimpses of him in the corner of her vision, in reflections, or in the faces of strangers, and each fleeting moment sent her imagination spiraling. Ilara's friends began to notice her distraction, the way her thoughts seemed elsewhere during conversations, the way she smiled mysteriously for no reason, or sighed as though missing someone who didn't exist. She kept her secret to herself, unsure how to explain that she had fallen in love with someone who was merely a figment of her sleeping mind. Yet in her heart, the connection felt real, undeniable, and urgent. The longing that had once been comfortable in the dream world had begun to seep into her waking life, making her days brighter when she imagined him and emptier when she returned to reality. One morning, after waking from an especially vivid dream, she found herself sketching his face, the curve of his jaw, the depth of his eyes, the subtle smile that had captivated her for weeks. Each line she drew brought a strange sense of fulfillment, yet also deepened her yearning. Who was he? Why did he feel so real? Was he a vision, a product of her imagination, or someone who existed in the waking world just beyond her reach? The questions swirled in her mind, forming a tapestry of desire, mystery, and destiny that would shape the days to come. Ilara awoke that morning with the lingering warmth of his presence still wrapped around her like a fragile veil. The memory of his touch, the curve of his smile, the way his eyes seemed to see through to her very soul, stayed vivid in her mind long after the dream had ended. But as she went about her day, subtle coincidences began to unsettle her. A stranger in the park with the same dark hair, the same piercing gaze, or a fleeting shadow on a library staircase that mirrored the ones in her dreams. Her rational mind struggled to dismiss these moments as mere chance, yet her heart whispered a dangerous truth. Perhaps he was real, somewhere beyond the veil of sleep. The impossibility of such a notion only fueled her obsession, and the line between dream and reality began to blur in ways that both thrilled and terrified her. Throughout her daily life, the pull of her dreams became undeniable. Each encounter in the waking world, no matter how mundane, seemed infused with echoes of his presence. She found herself staring out windows, imagining him standing there, waiting, his enigmatic smile teasing her. The more she searched for tangible signs of him, the more her imagination and reality intertwined. Her friends noticed her distraction, her absent-minded smiles, and her tendency to drift off mid-conversation. Though they teased her about being lost in a fantasy, Ilara could feel the gravity of his presence pressing against the edges of her reality, demanding acknowledgement. This unseen force tugged at her heart relentlessly, drawing her deeper into the mystery of the man she had come to love without ever meeting. One evening she wandered through the city streets as twilight settled, unsure why she felt compelled to do so. Her footsteps carried her past familiar streets, parks, and cafes, all of which echoed the landscapes from her dreams. And then, just for a fleeting instant, she caught a glimpse of someone who could have been him, standing across the street, silhouetted by the golden glow of the streetlights. Her pulse quickened, a mixture of hope and fear gripping her chest. She hesitated, unsure whether to approach, afraid that the moment would vanish like mist in the wind. Her dreams had taught her that he was elusive, impossible, yet every fiber of her being urged her to follow this intuition, to trust the pull that bound her to him beyond reason. Damien, the man who only appeared in her dreams, was becoming more than an image in her mind. He was a presence that demanded real emotion, real courage, and real choices. Every time she thought she understood the boundaries of her world, he appeared to push them further, challenging her perception of reality, testing her willingness to believe in something extraordinary. She realized that love could not be confined to the tangible, that sometimes the heart must take risks and leap into the unknown, guided by trust and desire rather than logic. Each dream, each coincidence, each heartbeat drew her closer to a truth that defied explanation. Love, even when born in the realm of sleep, could be as real and powerful as any bond forged in daylight. Ilara's reality had begun to shift dramatically. The man of her dreams had transcended the boundaries of sleep, becoming an undeniable force in her waking life, compelling her to confront hope, longing, and fear in equal measure. Her heart was no longer contained within the safety of imagination. It had been cast into the currents of possibility, propelled by the certainty that he existed somewhere, and that their connection was destined to challenge every boundary she had ever known. The story was moving beyond dreams alone and stepping into a world where desire, courage, and fate would collide in ways she had never imagined. Days turned into restless nights and restless days as Ilara's longing for the man from her dreams became impossible to ignore. Every morning, she awoke with the fading imprint of his touch lingering on her skin, the warmth of his presence still hovering in the corners of her mind. She tried to carry on with her daily life, work, errands, casual interactions, but each activity felt hollow without the connection that had claimed her heart. The city around her, once familiar and comforting, seemed now like a maze of possibilities, each street and alley whispering his name, each passerby a potential clue to his existence. Ilara began seeking signs, patterns, and coincidences that might guide her closer to the man who had become the axis of her world, her imagination, and her desires. Her friends noticed her obsession growing, gently teasing her about being lost in a dream, but Ilara could not deny the reality of her emotions. Each coincidence, no matter how small, strengthened the conviction that he existed beyond the fragile world of sleep. The way a stranger's shadow moved in the evening light, the way someone's voice echoed a tone she recognized from her dreams, or the inexplicable feeling that someone was watching over her, all of these incidents pulled her toward a world she could not yet fully see. She began documenting her dreams, sketching the landscapes, the features of the man, and even the fleeting gestures that left her heart racing. Each drawing, each note was both a comfort and a torment, a reminder that love could exist in absence as strongly as in presence. One rainy afternoon, Ilara wandered through a quiet city park, the drizzle soaking her hair and clothes, yet she barely noticed. The air smelled of wet earth and blooming flowers, eerily reminiscent of a garden from her dreams where he had once held her hand. Her heart leapt as a figure appeared near the fountain, tall, dark-haired, with the same commanding presence she had memorized in sleep. Her breath caught. Every rational thought fled as her instincts screamed that this was him, and yet fear mingled with hope. What if it was only a trick of the mind, a cruel reflection of desire? What if she imagined him again? She stepped closer, each movement deliberate, each heartbeat echoing in her ears, drawn irresistibly to the possibility of love made flesh. Meanwhile, the man she had only known in dreams, his name still unknown to her waking world, seemed to exist in the shadows of her life, guiding her, appearing at the exact moments her heart ached most. Alara began to notice small details aligning with her nocturnal encounters: the scent of jasmine, the sound of a particular piano melody, the subtle turning of leaves in the park breeze, all markers of a connection that defied the logic of reality. She realized that she was no longer content to wait passively for the next dream. She needed to act, to seek, to embrace the possibility that love required courage in both worlds. Every step she took in the waking world was now colored by his memory, every glance through a crowd charged with anticipation, and every heartbeat carried the electric thrill of the unknown. Alara's yearning had transformed into a purposeful search. The man who had existed only in dreams was no longer a passive figure in her imagination. He had become an active force, compelling her to challenge reality, defy doubt, and risk her heart in pursuit of the love that had already claimed it. The stage was set for the next chapter, a collision of dreams and reality, a journey toward discovery, and the inevitable moment when fantasy and life would intersect in ways both terrifying and breathtaking. Alara's pursuit of the man from her dreams had begun to consume her waking life. Every step she took felt guided by invisible hands, each street corner and park bench echoing fragments of her nightly visions. One late afternoon, while wandering through a quiet cobblestone alley, she caught a glimpse of someone who made her heart stutter, a silhouette that matched him perfectly. Her breath caught as he moved gracefully through the shadows, completely unaware of her presence. The familiar intensity in his eyes, the confident but gentle posture, even the subtle curve of his shoulders. It was as though the dream world had spilled into reality, and for the first time, she was certain that he truly existed. Fear and exhilaration intertwined, pulling her forward even as doubt tried to root her in place. Each step closer felt like both a triumph and a gamble, a delicate dance between hope and heartbreak. As she approached, her pulse pounding in her ears, a sudden gust of wind sent her hair across her face, mirroring the way the wind had moved in her dreams when he had once reached out to her. She reached up to brush it away, and in that moment he turned, his gaze locking with hers. Time seemed to stretch, elongating the seconds into a suspended eternity. Every nerve in her body vibrated with recognition, a sense of déjà vu that defied explanation. The world around them blurred into insignificance, the hum of the city faded into silence, leaving only the electric tension between two souls long destined to meet. Yet as quickly as the moment had appeared, a crowd of pedestrians separated them, pulling him away and leaving her grasping at the empty air where he had stood. Her heart ached, a mixture of longing, frustration, and an intoxicating hope that he had noticed her, even if only for an instant. That night, sleep brought no reprieve. Her dreams, intensified by the near encounter, were more vivid than ever. He appeared with a subtle smile, brushing a strand of imaginary hair from her face, and she felt the warmth of his presence wrap around her like a cloak. But the dreams now carried an edge of urgency, a silent plea that she not wait passively, that she pursue what her heart had already chosen. Every gesture, every whisper in the dreamscape seemed to echo the real-world encounter, reinforcing the connection that was rapidly outgrowing the boundaries of imagination. Her emotions teetered on a knife's edge between bliss and desperation, the thrill of anticipation and the pain of delayed fulfillment intertwined in every heartbeat.
Ilara's obsession with finding him intensified. She studied the patterns of her dreams, the locations he appeared in, the way the city seemed to guide her toward him. She began venturing to the places he had visited in her visions: the quiet park by the fountain, the bookstore with the sunlit reading nook, the art gallery where shadows fell in ways she had memorized. Each step in the waking world mirrored a path she had walked countless times in her dreams, blurring the line between fantasy and reality. Friends noticed her wandering, questioning her preoccupation, but Ilara could not explain what compelled her forward. The pull was irresistible, a force beyond reason, as though the universe itself conspired to reunite her with the man who had claimed her heart long before their bodies could meet. The story had reached a pivotal point. Ilara was no longer chasing a figment of imagination. She was chasing destiny. The man from her dreams was real, tangible, and closer than ever, yet the tension of nearly meeting him only heightened the stakes. The emotional charge was electric, the anticipation unbearable, and the promise of love both terrifying and exhilarating. Fate had placed them on converging paths, and the moment of reunion, though still uncertain, was approaching with relentless inevitability.
The morning of the unexpected encounter arrived like a storm wrapped in golden sunlight. Ilara had returned to the park near the fountain, heart pounding with a mixture of hope and fear, as if every fiber of her being knew this was the day their worlds would finally collide. She wandered past the blooming flowers and glistening water, careful to remain unnoticed, yet her eyes scanned every face, every shadow, every movement, searching for the one she had loved for months in dreams. And then, there he was, standing beneath the arching branches of a cherry blossom tree, the sunlight haloing his dark hair, his gaze sweeping the surroundings with casual elegance, yet catching hers almost immediately. Time slowed, the city faded, leaving only the weight of recognition and the electricity that surged between them. The impossible had become reality. Ilara's steps faltered, her breath caught in her chest, but something stronger than fear propelled her forward. Every memory of their dream encounters, every whispered word and tender gesture had prepared her for this singular moment. As she approached, he took a deliberate step closer, a soft smile spreading across his face, a smile she had known intimately in her sleep. Their eyes locked, and in that instant the months of longing, yearning, and unanswered questions dissolved. He reached out, a tentative but assured gesture, and she felt the warmth of his hand brush against hers, a shockwave of familiarity and desire that left her trembling. The sensation was electric, a collision of dream and reality, as if their hearts recognized each other before their minds could process what was happening. Words were unnecessary at first. Silence carried a weight far greater than any spoken declaration, an unspoken acknowledgement that the connection they shared transcended logic. Every glance, every subtle movement, every tiny shift in posture spoke of longing fulfilled and destiny realized. Ilara's pulse raced as he drew closer, and the warmth of his presence enveloped her like a protective cocoon. For the first time, the man who had lived solely in her dreams was tangible, alive, and here, standing before her, equally aware of the electric, undeniable bond that had always existed between them. Fear, anticipation, and joy mingled in her chest, making her heart ache with the intensity of emotion that had been building for months. As the hours passed, they explored the park together, talking, laughing, and sharing stories that bridged the gap between dream and reality. Every word he spoke, every gesture he made resonated with the memory of the moments she had lived in sleep, yet there was a new depth to his presence, a grounding reality that made her realize how much she had truly missed. The air between them shimmered with intimacy, the subtle brush of hands, the occasional lingering glance, and the quiet, magnetic pull that drew them closer with every passing second. What had once been an impossible fantasy was now living, breathing, and intensely real.
Their hearts beat in tandem, matching the rhythm of a love that had waited patiently through dreams and longing. By evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, they found themselves seated on a park bench surrounded by the soft glow of street lamps. The city around them seemed to pause in reverence for their union, the world fading as their connection deepened. He reached for her hand, intertwining fingers with the familiarity of 1,000 nights spent together in dreams, and whispered words that sent shivers down her spine. "I've been waiting for you. Without knowing you existed, I've been waiting." Ilara leaned closer, her heart overflowing with emotion, and whispered back, "And I've been waiting for you, every night, every dream, until now." In that moment, the barriers between sleep and waking life vanished, replaced by a love that was tangible, profound, and irrevocable. Ilara's long-awaited reunion had solidified the connection she had nurtured in dreams. The impossible had become reality. The man who had once only appeared in her sleep had stepped fully into her world, bringing with him the promise of love, devotion, and shared destiny. Yet, as thrilling as the encounter was, it also carried the delicate tension of uncertainty, for while their hearts had found each other, the journey of love, discovery, and understanding had only just begun. The days that followed their first real encounter felt like an awakening, as though the universe itself had shifted to accommodate the love that had always existed in the realm of dreams. Ilara and the man, whose name she finally learned was Adrian, spent every possible moment together, exploring the delicate boundary between reality and the dreamscape that had first brought them together. Each laugh, each shared secret, each gentle touch reinforced the truth she had long suspected. Their bond was not a fleeting fantasy, but a tangible, enduring love. Every challenge they faced, from skeptical friends who questioned the impossibility of their story to the mundane interruptions of daily life, only strengthened their connection, forging a love tempered by longing, patience, and the magic of fate. Adrian, equally captivated, revealed that he had experienced the same strange phenomenon, appearing in her dreams without knowing her identity, feeling the pull of her heart across the invisible threads of the night. The revelation deepened the mystery, yet also brought relief. Their love was mutual, real, and predestined. Together, they learned to navigate the extraordinary circumstances of their connection, embracing both the wonder and the responsibility it carried. Dreams had been the bridge, but now their waking lives were intertwined in ways more profound and fulfilling than either had dared imagine. Every glance, every caress, every whispered word became a testament to the power of love that transcended time, space, and reason. One evening, under the golden glow of a setting sun, Adrian led Ilara to a quiet rooftop overlooking the city skyline. The lights shimmered like distant stars, echoing the countless nights she had spent dreaming of this very moment. He took her hands in his, eyes locked with hers, a tender intensity that made her heart ache with longing and joy. "I have loved you without knowing you, and now that I do, I will never let you go." Tears welled in Ilara's eyes, a mixture of relief, happiness, and disbelief that the impossible had become reality. She realized that love had guided her, night after night, through dreams, until it had found its way into her arms, tangible, real, and irreplaceable. As they embraced, the city around them seemed to fade, leaving only the warmth of their connection and the quiet certainty that they were exactly where they were meant to be. Their love, once fragile and intangible, had crystallized into a bond both passionate and enduring. Every shared heartbeat, every laugh, and every whispered promise became a pledge of devotion, proof that even the most fantastical of dreams could manifest into a reality more beautiful than imagination alone. The challenges of the waking world, the skepticism of others, and the strangeness of their journey mattered little now, for they had found in each other a love that was absolute and unshakable. Ilara and Adrian's story reached its emotional crescendo. The girl who had once only loved a figure in her dreams had discovered the depth, warmth, and permanence of love in the waking world. Their journey, from longing and mystery to discovery and fulfillment, was a testament to the power of fate, courage, and heart. Together, they stepped into a future bright with promise, a reality that honored the dreams that had brought them together, and a love that would endure beyond sleep, beyond fear, and beyond the limitations of the world around them. In each other's arms, they had found the impossible made possible, the dream made real, and a love story that would linger forever.